Get ready, Staten Island.
The Ferry Hawks are back at SIUH Community Park July 7th to the 12th for a 6-game series against the High Point Rockers. Tonight, first pitch is at 6:30. It's Thirsty Thursday with $5 Bud and Bud Light drafts. Friday, July 10th, first pitch is at 7 p.m. May the Force be with you on Star Wars Night with post-game kids glow around the bases with special lightsaber training packs.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
Welcome to the 5 o'clock show. It's time for Common Sense. Now, it's Katz and Cosby with John Katsimatidis and Rita Cosby, standing for truth, justice, and the American way, bringing common sense to the world. Now, here's John Katsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Breaking news, WABC.
And everybody, lots of breaking news happening here on Katz and Cosby. Right now, guys, there is some pounding taking place in Iran, a lot of strikes. And what's really interesting, John, is that they don't know who it is. Apparently, the U.S., according to some media outlets, is saying it's not them. Israel saying it's not them.
We got General Holt coming on, and he is checking his intelligence friends to find out who is pounding Iran.
This could get interesting, right, John?
Maybe Iran is pounding Iran.
Yeah, who knows, right? That would be good if it's the citizens doing the work.
The chimpanzees fighting the gorillas.
Yeah, just like Planet of the Apes.
Just like Planet of the Apes.
And also, guys, the other big story, of course, everyone's talking about is Graham Plattner. This is the guy from Maine. And did you guys see his I'm not going to run anymore because I'm totally getting pushed out speech? Yeah, boo-hoo.
He's the poor victim, Graham Plattner.
Yeah, the poor victim. That was the thing. In his speech, there was no responsibility, no contrition, and he was blaming the Democratic establishment and also saying, no, the media's out to get me. Like, I'm sorry, I think the Nazi tattoo is the beginning of the end.
Now, we have a great show today. We have in the studio here with us, we have Governor Patterson, we have Ed Cox, the New York State Chairman, and we have Judge Richard Weinberg. So we have 2 Democrats and 1 Republican. We got
a good show.
Ed Cox, can you handle it?
I like the odds.
All right, and then
bring it on.
We are.
He's Rocky.
We got Bruce. We got Bruce.
We are
Blakeman.
reasonable Democrats.
Common sense Democrats.
Common sense Democrats.
We have Bruce Blakeman calling in at 5:15. Joe Cruder, which is the national chairman of the GOP, calling in at 5:22.
I can't wait to hear from
Brigadier
him.
General Blaine Holt, who's going to tell us who's really pounding Iran at 5:34.
And guess what? He's going to give us an update on Air Force One, too, about, remember, the security
and
stuff.
And the 737 they found with no pilots.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is. They found wreckage, but no people.
Mike Lindell. We're going to go to Minnesota, talk to Mike Lindell. Is he giving free pillows with every vote?
I hope so. The pillows are good. I hope
then
so.
We're going to go to Israel, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning in Israel.
By the way,
maybe 2 o'clock.
John,
and Michael Oren is going to be on.
You missed a great joke from Ed. Ed, go ahead.
No, pillow talk.
He said it's pillow talk.
And
Garden State, Rock Hudson.
And Gordon Chang. Gordon Chang is coming.
Good, Your Honor.
Guys. Gordon Chang is at 5:58, and would you text Gordon Chang?
Yes, exactly.
To check into that too?
Gordon's got a whole bunch of good stuff. He's going to talk about China, Iran, AI, and a whole bunch more. So we got an action-packed show, John, that's happening today. And by the way, the other thing, too, before we go to our first guest, everyone's talking about the Charlie Kirk case. I was watching this today. And this is the Tyler Robinson prelim. We were talking about it with James Galliano, remember, who joined us yesterday from the FBI, who was over there in Utah. And today they played the video of the boyfriend / roommate of this guy, and it was damning. I mean, I've covered a lot of cases. this was actually really powerful to see him say, he talked often about Trump. He was engraving guns. He said, "I'm sorry I did it. I had hate in my heart." There's this is talk about damning evidence against the guy. What do you think, Judge?
Rudy Washington said last night, this kid better take a plea quickly. Because remember, this is a capital case in Utah, death by firing squad in a capital case.
Yeah, what do you think, Ed, when you hear this? And of course, this is the guy who's accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk. And we all saw what happened. It's so horrible.
It was an assassination. It was no doubt about the intent. And it is a capital case.
And it is firing squad, by the way, in Utah. I said, give me one of them. I'll be one of them. This guy, when you see what he did, it's really horrible. And then you've got the boyfriend roommate who has a lot of these. There's text messages. The one thing everyone's talking about, the judge, is a little bit like Judge Ito in the O.J. Simpson case. He seems to be kind of giving a lot of deference to the defense. In that case, we all sort of know how that ended up. So there's some interesting dynamics there that may make this have some twists and turns.
Is he?
He seems a little confused. He seems like he's giving the defense every chance, obviously, to be able to contest everything, drag it out. But it may kind of be losing control of the courtroom. How's
that's not unusual for a capital case, though.
No.
Yeah, but he seems to be losing control, and a lot of the attorneys are saying that.
I don't know. I haven't followed that, but I will tell you, it's an approach that a lot of judges take to protect themselves on appeal.
Absolutely. And I understand that for that reason, But hopefully it's not Judge Ito. Let's find out. You guys, should we go to Texas?
Let's go to Texas. Where's that song for Texas?
The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas.
Let's go to Texas. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And we love Texas. We love playing that song because it's so great. And who better than Congressman Pat Fallon from Texas? And Congressman, it's so great to have you on. Let's first get to Iran. Where do you think all of this is headed? Because even President Trump said, it looks like the ceasefire is over. He's fed up. He's calling Iran scum. He's, saying, you could tell he's calling them liars. Where do you think this is going?
Well, Rita, John, I hope you had a great 4th. Happy 250. The problem with Iran is the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard there. You cannot trust them. You can tell they're lying when their mouth is moving. And I've been saying this all along throughout this process. You have to break their back, and doing so, then you can actually form, an agreement, and then you can have peace. But until that happens, this is going to be ongoing.
What do you think of the way this is going with President Trump, too? Because clearly, Congressman, he's fed up with them. He seems like he's sort of hit a brick wall. We're going to be talking later on with Brigadier General Blaine Holt. But yesterday, they had a rerouting of Air Force One, the brand new Air Force One. And right afterwards, President Trump said, I know I'm number one on the hit list for Iran. You could tell they're very worried about security. I think he feels like they clearly have not been honest brokers, even the ones that he thought were, quote, more civilized, if you will.
If Iran wasn't pursuing a nuclear weapon, this would have never happened. And when you enrich uranium, when you get to 60%, you're pretty much there as far as weaponizing. It makes it very simple and easy. Every single nation state that has enriched to 60% went on to produce a nuclear weapon. So that's where Iran was. And what President Trump was saying, and by the way, all the other presidents, Democrats included, Obama and candidates, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden, all said the same thing. They would never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Well, they were on the precipice, and President Trump said, okay, you either give it up or we're going to have to hit you. And he hit him hard. And again, they're not negotiating good faith, and we are where we are now.
Now, we got a report. Did you tell the congressman about the report we got? That Iran is being hit right now, and the United States said it wasn't us.
And Israel says it's not
wasn't
them.
us.
Yeah, so what do you think?
We got General Blaine Holt coming on later on, and he's checking it out.
That's an interesting thing. If it's not Israel or the United States, certainly Iran has been hitting their ally or our allies in the region. And I don't know if it's one of them. Time will tell. But at the end of the day, if we want a world to live in that is safer, because it's this world getting smaller by the day, you have to have that regime removed from power. It's that simple.
Yeah, look, the Persian people are civilized people, but that Iranian guard, they're crazy. They're nuts. And, I agree with everything that President Trump said the other day.
Yeah. Well, John, also 80% of the people in Iran hate this regime. So they have no.
I think they're wrong. I think it's closer to 85 or 90.
Yeah, right. Now, right. Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, you know who we have? We have the Israeli former ambassador to Israel calling in at 1 o'clock in the morning from Israel.
Yeah, Michael Oren calling in. Yeah,
we'll get a better intelligence then.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Congressman, let's get to what's happening with politics here in America. You got Graham Plattner, who dropped out. Thank goodness. I mean, it's just shocking that the Democrats allowed him to go as far as he did. How do you think that affects the midterms? And what do you think it says about the Democratic Party, that they were willing to turn a blind eye with the Nazi tattoo, with the anti-cop rhetoric, with the anti-ICE, with the accusations of assault? And then finally, it's a Democrat who alleged rape, and they decided, okay, no, the polls are not good. Maybe we should push him out.
Rita, you mean the Nazi, rapist, anarchist, communist, allegedly? Yeah, that guy?
That guy.
No, as long as he's a socialist or a commie, we're going to just push him through. To see Elizabeth Warren now praise this guy and Bernie Sanders, I mean, obviously it didn't age well, but it's disgusting. There were indications that this guy was a dirtbag all along, and not just one source. I mean, scores, dozens, if not scores of them. So anyway, good riddance on him. I think that it does have an implication for the midterms, because then you look closer at who these Democrats are now nominating, and they're nominating a bunch of AOC kind of sycophants that are not going to play well in a November general election. And I do think we're going to hold the House and the Senate because of it.
Congressman Fallon, there's going to be a revolution in the Democratic Party, and we have two common sense Democrats in the studio with us today, Governor Patterson and Judge Weinberg. What do you see out there? What do you see in Texas? Is there any common sense coming out anywhere?
Well, the Democrats in Texas are a bit different. Not all of them, of course, but some of them. And I was in the state legislature for 8 years. And, the Republicans, of course, are the senior partner in Texas. But we passed a lot of bipartisan legislation because you do have some conservative Democrats and certainly patriotic Democrats in Texas. That's becoming an ever-increasing rarity, unfortunately, nationally with the Democratic Party. And it's really frightening, and it gives me pause, John.
Well, I mean, guys, any thoughts? Judge Weinberg, you're a common sense Democrat. Governor Patterson, you're a common sense Democrat. Or are the troops behind the scenes amassing to get rid of the socialists? Because the socialists, when they ran nationally, the socialists would get 2%, 3%, 4% tops.
Because they named themselves socialists. The old Norman Thomas socialists. But now they've taken over our party.
They used foreign Representative Pat Fallon. Foreign money involved to finance those socialist party to take over the Democratic Party.
John, my Hall of Fame coach, Lou Holtz from Notre Dame, said it perfectly. I love Coach Holtz.
I do too. By the way, I knew Lou. I went to University of South Carolina. Of course I knew Lou, Pat.
Oh,
yep.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
He summed it up to us very succinctly. He said the Democrats and Republicans a few years back had two different paths to the same goal. Now, with the advent of some of these far lefties that are being elected to office, it seems like they have different paths to different goals. And that's what scares me.
Yeah, it is scary. You know what's frightening? I was watching even last night, as painful as it was, I was watching, Graham Plattner and his woe is me speech. And in it, right away, Congressman, one of the first things he said was, we have to focus on what matters, healthcare. And then the next thing out of his mouth was AIPAC. Healthcare for everybody, and let's go after AIPAC. I mean, what does that say to you?
Well, the one successful, flourishing democracy in the Middle East happens to be Israel, and they have legitimacy. They have a rule of law. And to be accused of things like genocide, when it was Hamas that started that war, it was Hamas that hid behind civilians. It was Hamas that were the tyrannical, really overlords of Gaza. And when Gaza has received per capita more aid than even the Europeans under the Marshall Plan. So let's talk about truths in context. Israel is an example to follow, not one to eradicate from this earth.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It is such a crazy mess. Well, I do think it is a gift to the Republicans because it's sort of, as we're talking about, common sense versus crazy.
Well, thank you.
Can I give you one perfect example of how crazy some of the left has become?
Please do.
We had a bill when the Democrats were in charge back in 2021. There was an amendment that was filed by one of the squad, and I think it was Presley from Boston, and she wanted to give voting rights to convicted felons while they were incarcerated. So I don't know where you're going to set up the polls on death row, but 98 Democrats voted for that amendment. Now, most of them did not. Barely, but 98 did. And that's scary. That really is very telling.
Congressman Pat Fallon, we have to go. Thank you for coming on. I love Texas. I love that Texas song. We are going to Bruce Blakeman right after that, who's running for governor in New York State. And let's see if there's any common sense if common sense can prevail in New York.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And let's go to New York.
Let's go to New York now. Let's go to Bruce Blakeman. Are you going to bring him in?
Sure. Bruce, Nassau County Executive, safest county in America. And Bruce, we were talking the other day about some new polls. The Coefficient polling firm had you within 6 points of Governor Kathy Hochul. There's other polls out there that have you also within single digits. What's your reaction to that? That's closing in.
Well, that confirms our own internal polling. It also confirms polling we've seen in congressional races. So we saw a poll that was done a couple of weeks ago in a +9 Democratic congressional district where I was beating Kathy Hochul 51-42. So it confirms that we are making tremendous progress. Every poll I've seen, Kathy Hochul is upside down on job approval, on favorability. People don't like her. They don't trust her. And she's not doing a good job. She's making New Yorkers miserable. Most overtaxed state in the United States. Electric bills 70% higher than the national average. And she is the most pro-criminal governor in the United States of America. People want an end to that. They want an end to spending $8.5 billion of our taxpayer money on illegal migrants when that money is being spent on people who are not New Yorkers. And she's using our money, our tax dollars, to give it away.
Bruce, your ad, the AI ad that you guys just put out, the judge is smiling too.
It's brilliant. Just brilliant.
Brilliant. I want to describe to everybody because Spencer Pratt did one in the LA race and it was so effective. It really catapulted. And you did one here where she's talking about congestion pricing and here's some crack. It was absolutely spectacular, Bruce. Talk about the making of that ad and the response you've gotten.
Well, the interesting thing is all of those statements that we have in the AI ad are completely true. The subject matter is completely true. And we try to do it in a way where we use satire and humor to get people's attention. And we show the fallacy of Kathy Hochul's policies. She claims that we are unaffordable and that she will make us affordable. Kathy, you're the one that made it unaffordable. You're the one that made it unsafe. You gave 45 plus rate hikes on our electric bill in the last 4.5 years. 45 plus rate hikes. And to claim that you're going to solve the problem, you are the problem, Kathy.
Yeah, that ad is very, very strong. Judge Weinberg.
Good to talk to you, Bruce. For example, in New York City, they made a deal, which they reneged on, for more police, 550 more police. And Hochul gave Mondami all that money. None of that had terms and conditions tagging that money to make sure that there were additional police in New York. How could she just give away money to Mondami, who has all these social welfare and socialistic policies with no checks and balances on it?
Judge, she gave Zoran Mondami $5.5 billion to bail out his budget gap, as you correctly said, without any strings attached, without any conditions. I, as governor, would have said, first of all, you need to cut spending. You don't have a revenue problem, Mayor. You have a spending problem. You got to stop spending money on programs that don't benefit anybody, that don't create quality services, merely increase the costs and the taxes of the people of the city of New York. So, first of all, I wouldn't give him the money until he demonstrated to me that he cut spending from programs that don't work, cut out the fraud, waste, and abuse, which even now he recognized is rampant in the city of New York, if you see what he said a couple of days ago. But what a disgrace that Kathy Hochul didn't say to him, you cannot defund the police. You can't use this money and defund the police. And that's what he's doing. Thousands of police officers are leaving. They're retiring. They've created vacancies that need to be filled to bring the police department up to full strength. And he's not going to hire. And that's how you defund the police incrementally. And that's exactly what he wants to do. And Kathy Hochul has been subservient. She's been complicit, and she's part of the problem.
I think a lot of people are troubled at that alliance, if you will. Ed Cox.
Yeah, tell us about her budgets, County Exec Blakeman. Tell us about the way her budgets have grown and the impact on New Yorkers.
Well, since she's been governor, the budget's almost doubled. Our budget in the state of New York is twice the size of the state of Florida, and Florida has 4 million more people. Now, you can't tell me that it costs twice as much to run this state as it does Florida. I have family in Florida. I visit friends and family in Florida. They have the same services we have. I would argue that their services are better than we have in the state of New York, and it costs half the price. So the problem is the fraud, waste, and abuse, the excessive contracts that are given to political contributors, and that's why taxes are the highest in the nation. That's why our electric bills are 70% higher than the national average, and that's why people are leaving the state of New York. Businesses are leaving. That's why we have to endure things like congestion pricing, which is nothing more than another tax on the middle class.
And we also have Governor David Patterson, the former governor. We love him, the well-dressed one. Go ahead.
How are you, Bruce?
Doing well, Governor.
So I think I can be objective and say that in the last few minutes, you've made some very powerful points and really demonstrated that you are very adept at looking at where the governor is at right now. My question to you is, toward the end of the session, when they realized they couldn't pass the budget on time, did you consider going up to Albany and making the case that you're making here? Because you would have gotten a lot more publicity, I think, if you had.
Yeah, we were up there. Matter of fact, I was there with Republican state senators and state assembly members, and we did do that. It wasn't covered by the traditional media. Not everybody is like WABC Radio that allows divergent opinions.
Not everybody's number one in the country and great. Is that it?
And that's why you are number one, because you are fair and you allow people to have a forum to be able to express their opinions and what their policies are. I venture to guess that Kathy Hochul probably doesn't come on your show very frequently. She doesn't have press conferences very frequently.
I don't think Kathy Hochul has been on our show for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And we always listen. We try to have equal opportunities, and she knows she's invited, but and we always try to be fair with everybody, and she has not come on.
Well, she can't defend her record. Her record is a record of straight Fs. How do you explain that we're the most overtaxed? How do you explain that our electric rates are 70% higher than the national average? How do you explain that thousands of jobs and businesses have left New York, that hundreds of thousands of people have left New York? How do you explain the misery that people have throughout the state with the policies that she has with respect to criminal justice that are so pro-criminal that it's a revolving door of criminality in this state? And that's why our kids and our grandkids are moving out. We have to reverse that trend. We're in a death spiral right now. We need a governor that knows how to run a large organization. My county's larger than 8 states. I have 110,000 more Democrats. I won re-election in a county with 110,000 more Democrats by 12 points.
Wow.
Because people like what I did here, and I can do the same thing for the state because I will put New Yorkers first. My job is to make them happy, not miserable.
Well, you have the safest county in America and an amazing track record. Bruce, we got to have you back on again soon. And congrats on the great new polls, too. It's really wonderful to have you here.
Well, thank you. We are going to win. You will have a new governor on January 1st. It will be a breath of fresh air, and we will save New York.
Bravo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bruce. Great to have you here.
Guys.
Thank you.
God bless you. God
Thank
bless
you so
America.
much.
You too.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back. We have the chairman of the National Republican Party on, Joe Gruder, and he stopped by the studio for a few minutes.
Anyone can sell electronics. At Electronics Expo, they do more than sell products. They design, install, and support complete technology solutions. From home theaters and whole home audio to lighting, shades, automation, networking, security cameras, and premium entertainment systems. For over 22 years, they've helped thousands of homeowners experience technology at its very best. See the difference for yourself. Visit their Wayne or Paramus stores in New Jersey or shop now at electronicsexpo.com.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels gets you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? All right. Bring a date, your teen, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, coming in right now is Chairman Joe Gruder of the Republican National Committee. And, well, Joe, thank you for stopping by today. And boy, it's Thursday. I'm sorry the sun isn't shining in New York. But give us a report. What the heck is going on?
Hey, first off, every time I come to New York, I love seeing you. So thanks so much for always hosting me and opening up your office. But listen, the party's in great shape. We just had a massive win last week from the Supreme Court. One of the things, when the president asked me to take over this position as chairman of the party, he said, we have to win the midterms, and we do that by, focusing on the grassroots, and we have to be strong and make sure these elections are safe, fair, and secure, and election integrity is important. And we have 150 lawsuits across the country. We're attacking every single day. We're winning a lot of lawsuits. As a matter of fact, we just sued on behalf of Arizona, a law that they passed to make sure the voter rolls are clean, and so when we have 17 states we've already sent election integrity workers to. But the biggest win we've had all year was this case last week on the coordinated campaign limits. And what that basically means is, before this case happened, came out by the Supreme Court, we were prohibited from spending money over a certain limit with our federal candidates. So it means if you're running for Congress, 66,000 we hit, we can no longer talk to you. So what happens, it creates a lot of inefficiencies because we don't know what you're doing. Members of the Republican collective are spending money on your behalf, and there's just a lot of wasted money. Now we could coordinate fully 100% with our candidates. We could see exactly what they're doing, and our dollars, which, by the way, we have more cash on hand in the history of the party than we've ever had before at any time, 3 months running. We will now be able to spend those dollars at the candidate rate, which means if we're sitting on $127 million, that may be worth, because we could buy this mill not at the nonprofit rate and lowest possible TV rate, it's worth like $300 million. And the reason why that's such a big deal is because the Democrat National Committee has negative $4 million in the bank. So we're going to obliterate these guys from running in terms of spending and making sure that we spend either at parity or more than the Democrats. So we're in absolutely fabulous shape. But we just have to take this momentum and continue to build on it. And but I'm excited. But that's a huge Supreme Court win last week.
Mr. Chairman, the National Common Sense Democrats Are they realizing what's happening to their party?
Listen, they are. I just don't think they believe what's happening. But you could see it because all you have to do is listen to the candidates. Look at what happened in New York within these Democrat primaries. And this is why we have a chance in November, is because the left is putting up these candidates that are so far, they're radical leftists that are communist. I mean, they're proposing open borders. They're proposing, forget about cashless bail. They don't want prisons at all. And they're just disconnected from reality. And that's what this November race is going to be about. It's going to be one side that's completely crazy and nuts, and the other side that's for reasonableness, common sense, that's going after, this president has been going after and fighting for the working man ever since he first got elected. And when you have the D.C. elitists over the last 5 decades that have been selling the American worker down the river, this president stepped up, fighting for him every single day, trying to make sure everybody has a path to the American dream. That's what it's all about, and that's why we're going to end up being successful in November, because you're right. The matchups that the left are giving us are terrible. Look at Plattner, look at Michigan, El Said, Talafrico down in Texas. All these congressional candidates, not only here in New York, but they've elected in their primaries nominees in Colorado, in Iowa, in New Jersey that are socialists, and socialists have taken over the left. They've taken over the Democrat Party, and I think the Democrat Party may cease to exist in 10 years.
Well, I mean, is there anybody standing up in the Democratic Party? I know that I interviewed the former, senator from West Virginia, and he says, I can't be a Democrat anymore. Joe Manchin. Nice guy. And I understand Josh Shapiro is starting to revolt in Pennsylvania. We need common sense. I mean, and the only people offering common sense right now are the Republicans.
Because the Democrats know that if they speak up against these Democrat socialists, that they know they're going to lose their next race. And so they've kowtowed to them. And the DSA is running the party for the left. That's why the left is in a death spiral. We have the favorable matchups as a result of them allowing their crazies to win these primaries. We have the candidates we want. We actually went out and recruited candidates that could win these tough seats. Look at Mike Rogers in Michigan, Sununu in New Hampshire. We have, of course,
I like him, by the way.
He's a great guy.
He's a good guy.
He's an engineer by trade, so he's a little straight and narrow, a little dry, but
a common sense business guy.
Common sense business guy, and he's going to do a great job in the Senate. And what that's going to do is, when we send up these MAGA warriors, Paxton and others, back to D.C., we're going to pass the Save America Act. We're going to pass, continue to push Trump's agenda, and we're going to have a lot of success.
We got so much to talk about. Let's talk about it on Sunday, too. And thank you for coming on this Thursday night.
Always appreciate you.
Great discussion. And boy, Ed Cox, it's going to be interesting.
Joe Gruder is one good guy. And look, we need common sense in America. And I said to him, I was talking to him before, too, before he went on the air, that the fact is that the only way the Democratic Party will learn a lesson if they lost 49 states like they did in 1984.
Right. I mean, with some of these policies, they should lose 49 states. Ed Cox?
He said an interesting thing. The Democratic Party may not exist 10 years from now.
Yeah, I do wonder where the future is. What do you think, Governor Patterson?
Well, in 1984, I think it was more of a policy issue, and also the fact that President Reagan had accomplished a lot. And then he ran against, who was it? From Minnesota. He beat
Mondale.
So he won 49 states.
Yep.
And
he could have won the 50th state, but he let him slide.
Yeah, he let it slide. But I think that wake-up call was a little different. And I think the Democrats started to hear what America was saying. And by 1988, it was far more competitive than it had been.
Yes.
But this is crazy.
Rita, let's go to the top news of the day. Let's move on.
And there's a lot of it.
It's the top news of the day. Here's Rita Cosby.
Well, everybody's talking about Graham Plattner. Embattled Graham Plattner, according to multiple reports, is going to formally exit from the main race on Monday. This comes after he announced that he suspended his campaign last night after being accused of sexual assault. Monday is the last day that Plattner can drop out to allow Democrats in Maine to select a new nominee. And as I was mentioning at the top, you guys, the former roommate and romantic partner of Charlie Kirk's accused killer, Tyler Robinson, says that Robinson expressed regret for the killing in a police video interview with Lance Twiggs that was played in the Utah courtroom just a little bit ago. Dramatically, Twiggs says that Robinson came back to their apartment after the shooting. He started crying, and he told him, "I wish I hadn't done it." So some pretty damning stuff. And you guys, we're going to take a break, John, and we have Brigadier General Blaine Holt. Boy, we have a lot of questions.
Now, Blaine Holt, we got a lot of questions. So, our audience, stay tuned because we're going to find out what the heck is going on. Let's take that break.
You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, we are back, and with us today is General Blaine Holt, and there's a lot of things on your plate, General. What do you want to go to first?
I'm juggling. Why don't we talk about a Pakistan 737?
What the hell happened to that, and what happened to the pilots?
Well, here's what didn't happen. It is not a I don't think it's a mechanical error at all. I think that they had some sort of either hijacking or hijacking turned terroristic event. Here's the circumstantial evidence we have to work with. It was a freighter cargo variant of the 737. It was a Pakistani crew on board, crew of 5. That's normal. And then when they took off, they started flying erratically, and they reported that they had navigational problems close to their crash site. That's ridiculous. When you have problems like that, you just simply turn off the autopilot, fly a heading. You don't fly erratically at all. Also, if you are hijacked and you're worried that they might know that you're putting in the hijack code into the transponder, you might say things that make no sense to the ground controllers. And what they said was, we're having navigational problems. And then the next thing they said was, no, we're having medical problems. But what really kind of gives it away.
Did they crash or they landed?
No, they crashed. They had a descent rate of 22,000 feet per minute, where the 737 likes to descend at around 3,000 feet per minute. So
Did
it's that
you think
descent
the
rate
pilot
alone that tells
survived?
me nobody survived. I'm confident of that.
Do we know
have
any
the wreckage
more
there.
of what was on board or like anything about this plane, like why it would be targeted?
That'll tell you everything. Got to find out what the cargo was. And that doesn't mean that what was on the manifest was what was actually in the back of the airplane.
Sure.
Because sometimes people can come out of those little containers that are loaded onto those airplanes. And so the manifest shows 5 people, but did somebody also come out of those cargo containers and take matters into their own hands? But it looks like a terrorist event to me.
Judge Weinberg.
General, are you saying that
Your
they didn't
phone's
come,
Go
they
ahead.
didn't come up with the bodies and it was a crash? How could that be?
Well, we know that they've got wreckage now. We don't know about body recovery. So that's where we sit. They've got wreckage.
Yeah, they said they found the wreckage scattered, but they found no evidence of the bodies at this point.
All right.
Is that strange?
No.
It's
It
not
might be
strange
there.
if there's an explosion.
All right, let's move on. Next.
Yeah. How about Air Force One?
What happened? What were they looking for in Air Force One?
Okay,
What do you
so
think?
There's 2 lines of thought here. One, they pulled Air Force One because of a tip or intelligence they got that maybe Air Force One, meaning the new beautiful one, had something on it that could have been potentially dangerous to the president and everybody on board. 2, they could have had a ground threat at the place where the bird was, or they could have had shoulder-launched missile people in the region knowing to go ahead and try to take a shot at that airplane. So the distraction would be, okay, president's not taking that airplane, he's taking another airplane, and you don't get to know which one. So it's one or the other.
The insinuation was also that when we talked yesterday that possibly that the old airplane had more defensive mechanisms than the new one.
That absolutely could be because the old airplane is far better equipped for combat countermeasures than the new one. But one of those, the White House right now is saying that we did this. There's nothing wrong with the new airplane. We did this because of a misdirection was needed for potential threat. So theory number 2 lines up with what the White House is saying.
I'm going to ask a layman's question because I'm not a pilot like John or you. But how could you have the new one not have the defensive measures that the old one had?
Maybe they rushed it through the system.
That's what I'm wondering.
Well, that plus the engineering to embed those systems is quite extensive. And so you're really talking about a depot maintenance type of teardown. And I know we got that airplane back a lot faster than that. And it's still time to take flight lessons, Rita.
There is.
Okay, let's move on. Who's bombing Iran?
That's $1 million question. Well, I know we're bombing
At least
Iran,
$1
that's
billion
for sure.
inflation.
Yeah, we're bombing Iran. They're getting another taste of the United States Navy and Air Force, combined air forces tonight on the coastlines. But there are reports that there's inland strikes that are close to the Bashir nuclear power plant that neither us or Israel are claiming that we didn't take. Now, a couple of things that it could be is did UAE or Saudi Arabia jump into the fight? Maybe. Is the revolution on, and are the revolutionaries starting to strike at things like that? Don't know why they would. They're going to need that power plant, and they understand what radiation risk is. Or the last possibility, and this is where I'm going, is the regime trying to create a false flag event by bombing their own nuclear power plant, creating a radiation risk, and then all of the propaganda will flow that the United States did this to us. That's a distinct threat and possibility.
Understood.
Wow, big stuff. Keep us posted, Blaine.
Keep us posted, and maybe you never know. Maybe we'll talk in an hour. Maybe we'll talk tomorrow. We'll see.
I'm on it. I'll go faster next time.
Thank you.
Great, Blaine. We love you. Thank you.
Now we have to go to Minnesota.
Absolutely, and the race right now. This is for Minnesota governor. The Minnesota primary. He is definitely ahead in the latest polls.
Lead.
He's in the lead.
Mike Lindell. Get a pillow for every vote. Mike Lindell. Can you afford a pillow for every vote?
Well, maybe. We've been doing parades. They said, Mike, you can't throw out all those pillows at the parades. That's against the law.
Everybody knows you, Mike, from My Pillow. So you got to come up with some sort of giveaway. I'm telling you, they're great pillows.
Mike, we support you 100%. And, we need some common sense in Minnesota.
Absolutely. John, you and I go way back. I think it was like 2000. The spring of 2015, we're at an event together, and you were sitting next to me, and I was telling stories about my past, and you looked at me and go, "You're not like any other CEO we've ever known."
Yeah, it was me, you, and Jerry Crowley, I think.
Yeah, but a lot's happened since then, hasn't it? But, we need common sense in Minnesota. We are the tip of the spear for so much nonsensical things being done. Obviously, and that doesn't even count the fraud. We're the tip of the spear for the fraud going on in our country, and it's upwards of $20 billion now. I was just met with the TSA in Minneapolis here at their airport, and they said there's still 12 to 15 suitcases of cash going out every day.
Wait.
Still happening now?
Yeah, how's that still happening?
They told me there's got to be someone on the inside. They pulled me aside. There was about 5 TSA agents, and they said, "Mike, you need to get to the president. This is still going on every day, 12 to 15, and it's got to be someone on the inside."
If you have any good information, you text it to me. I'll get it to the president, or you can send it to the president direct, whatever. But somebody has to do something about it.
Yeah. Oh, we are. They're doing a lot here. You got the vice president, and they're investigating. I heard right now, I don't know if it's true, but I heard there's 426 separate investigations going on just in Minnesota here with we have over 24 welfare programs and over 400 NGOs. And I don't know. I haven't found one yet that is mixed with fraud, or that they're not at least related. It's disgusting. And then you've got our leaders here, our governor, Tim Walz, and then you got
Keith Ellison,
Elon Omar. You got Keith Ellison, the Attorney General. I mean, they're all so corrupt, and it's. And, we see it here in Minnesota. We're so glad that I look at it as a blessing. I'm such an optimist. I say, this is when I decided to run for governor, I called up the president on December 8th, told him I was running. And then on December, I think it was 3 days later, that Nick Shirley found all that fraud here in Minnesota, made it public, and it went viral. And I said, wow, you couldn't time this better. because now you got about, I'd say, a fourth of Minnesota that, probably would have voted the same is going to flip. They're going to flip. I really believe that. The independents and the people that have had it, here, Minnesota's, it's unaffordable right now.
Are they realizing what the heck is really going on? Normal people I have to be much more than some of these crazy people. Are the normal people realizing it?
Yeah, I really think they are. And the media, our local media, can't bury this anymore. That's what's nice. They can't, because it went viral, they can't hide it. We have just the horrible Minneapolis Star and Tribune and our local media. They would just hide this stuff that was going on, and we don't know why. Why are they hiding this? Because, and they're not anymore. They can't really hide it. And now that, but it's, it seems to get out of the news one day and maybe back in the news, but we're not going to let up on it. And I really believe that this election, I'm all in, and this is my wheelhouse. I'm going to actually put out my budget 3 weeks from now. I'm going to get my budget out early and say, hey, not only, getting rid of the fraud, I have a lieutenant governor that I picked running mate with me that was, he was an intelligence officer with the Navy. We're going to set up like a Minnesota Doge when I'm governor. We're going after every single one of these departments or these programs and seeing if they, not just the corruption, but I want to check them out and see if there's an end game. If they're, do they really help people? When I quit all my addiction back in the day, John, this, my story is that, I used to be an addict in every way. And when I quit that, I put millions of dollars into the city of Minneapolis, into Teen Challenge and Salvation Army, used private sector money to help all these people. And
people don't forget, Mike Lindell. We want to talk again real soon, and we want to help you in every way we can because you have common sense. But we have to go to Israel now because it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, Mike, thank you.
Mike, thank you, and we'll talk again soon.
It's LindellGov.com if anybody wants to help.
Tell us the site again.
LindellGov.com.
LindellGov.com. LindellGov.com.
Okay, I will go to it myself. Thank you
Mike,
so much.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Let's go to Israel.
Yeah, in fact, I think we have calling in. You want to take it?
I'll take it.
All right, great. So then we have former ambassador from Israel. I think Michael Oren's calling in.
Calling in from Israel right now. We have the former Israeli ambassador. We have Michael Oren. And he is an American Israeli, and he was the ambassador for 4 years. And Michael, Mr. Ambassador, give us an update. What the heck is going on? Because a lot of the American people this Thursday night don't understand it.
Well, good to be with you, John. It's not easy to make heads or tails of this, but in general, the United States and Iran have signed this memorandum of understanding, which is simply proving to be inapplicable. Okay, and that the Iranians are violating it pretty much on a daily basis, and then the United States is responding to that. The big question is, will the situation escalate into a renewal of full-scale war between the United States and Iran? And if that happens, then Israel will also go on a full-scale war footing. It's interesting that the Iranians, in responding to America's counterstrikes to their initial offensive, have been sending missiles at American bases in Kuwait, Bahrain, other Middle Eastern countries, but they haven't dared to fire a rocket or a missile at Israel yet, because they know if they do, we're going to respond in a massive way.
I think you're right. I mean, but Israel is tough. But I guess President Trump is tough. But I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, because you're an American, you're an Israeli ambassador, that President Trump doesn't want to do damage to the infrastructure because we're going to have to pay for it afterwards. And he wants to just make them, hit them hard enough that they have some common sense. But it looks like the Israelis have the Iranians have no common sense. That the people that don't have common sense in Iran are running things.
I wouldn't call it common sense, not common sense. It's a Middle Eastern way of looking at things, which is very difficult, very different than the way things work in the West. And in the West, you want to win a war by, saying we destroyed the enemy and we put our flag over his fort. In the Middle East, all you have to do is prove that you didn't lose and you won. And for the leadership in Iran, losing means not just losing their lives, but losing their families' lives, because 85% of their population hate them. And so if they lose the war, they lose everything. And so they really have, in that way, nothing to lose. They're just going to keep on goading the president. And they feel that that President Trump is so afraid of rising gas prices and so afraid of the impact of those rising gases on the Republican Party's chances of retaining both houses of Congress in the midterm elections, that they feel they can afford to provoke him to exceed. America may strike back, but it's not going to go to all-out war again because of the president's fear of rising gas prices. And so they feel like I'm not making a bad joke here, John, but they have him over a barrel. That's what they feel, and the barrel happens to be a barrel of oil.
Understood. If they raise the price $3, $4, $5 a barrel like they did yesterday, you know how much more money the OPEC nations make for those 3-4 days? A lot.
I'm sure they make a ton, but the American worker who for whom an increase of $1, $1.50 per gallon is a major expense. And if the American people don't understand fully why this war is necessary, why it's important for the security of their children and grandchildren, then that sacrifice, that increase in gas prices, will be prohibitive.
I understand that, and you're absolutely right. So for the time being, give us your pulse on anything that the American people should know on a Thursday night, and I'm sure things are going to change. We should talk again on Sunday, because I'm sure a lot of things will change by Sunday. And give us your pulse on what's going on with Lebanon, because the American people don't understand the Israel-Lebanon relationship with the Hezbollah.
Well, here's the good news. The good news is we've made peace with Lebanon. We're signing a peace treaty, and that peace treaty understands that Israel has to defend northern Galilee. That's under fire from Hezbollah, and we have to do that. We have to maintain a military presence in southern Lebanon. That's not geared against the Lebanese; it's against Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a branch of Iran. It takes its orders directly from Iran. It gets its armaments directly from Iran, and it is the most powerful military force in Lebanon. The Lebanese army can't subdue Hezbollah. So it's a state within a state, an army within an army. It is dedicated to destroying my state, Israel, and also dedicated to fighting the United States. Hezbollah killed hundreds of American service people, diplomats. It is a bloodthirsty terrorist organization. And so that is the situation as of tonight in Lebanon.
And Oman, we don't hear much from the Houthis. What the heck is going on there?
The Houthis are waiting to get their orders from Iran. All these people operate on orders from Iran. We call the head of the snake. And the minute if the Iranians feel that the United States moves to open the Strait of Hormuz, then they'll give an order to the Houthis to close the Strait of Mandeb, which is another strategic strait along the Red Sea, Sea of Aden. And you'll see it happen. Watch it.
So bottom line, to end this conversation, and we'll continue it on Sunday, the bottom line is money. So if the Iranian Guard has the money, they pay Hezbollah, they pay the Houthis, they pay Hamas to be terrorists. Now, so that means, so if we cut out the money, is there any place that they're getting the money that we don't know about? Is there any double agents out there?
Oh, certainly. There's a whole international network. They just arrested, I think, a woman in New England who was running a fundraising operation for Palestinian Islamic Jihad. It's an ally of Hamas. Very extensive fundraising apparatus for these terrorist organizations, but not just that. They themselves are in the business of drug trafficking, human trafficking, vast drug business, huge. And Hezbollah is deeply in league with the major cartels in Central and South America.
Ambassador, thank you very much. Let's continue this conversation on Sunday. Ambassador Michael Oren. He was the Israeli ambassador to the United States, but he's an American Israeli. And I mean, did the Israelis trust you 100% since you're American?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, because
yeah, they do.
I was on the board of Ben Capolin, and they don't trust Jews. Forget about the Greeks.
No, they trust me. It's okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Ambassador.
All right, take care, John. Be with you. Bye-bye.
Great conversation, John. Thanks so much. And boy, Ambassador Michael Oren there in the thick of it all. One of the things I'm thinking about, guys, is these strikes that Blaine Holt was talking about on on some of the nuclear facilities. That's pretty scary. What's going on right now in Iran?
It wasn't a direct hit. It was in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it was in the neighborhood. But you wonder, like, okay, well, what is that about? And he said it could be a false flag, exactly, created by Iran itself.
To get them some sympathy or get criticism of the American attacking them.
Yeah, what do you think, Gov Patterson? What are your thoughts?
I think they're so desperate at this point that I could agree with the chairman that they would set it up to look like we went beyond and tried to kill all of them. And I would think that the pounding came from their imagination.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a very diplomatic way to put it.
The governor's very kind.
Yeah, very kind. That's a lot kinder than I would be. All right, so we're going to go to Gordon Chang, you guys, right after the break.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here. So what is the latest with China? There are so many different angles. And joining us now is the great Asia expert, Gordon G. Chang on Twitter. We love Gordon Chang. Gordon, first, let's get to the Department of Justice investigating Neville Roy Singham. This is the guy who seems to have all these tentacles with all these, I think, anti-American protests that seem to be happening in this country. What do you know?
Oh, absolutely. We know that Singham has engaged in funding a whole network of hundreds of groups. And this has been detailed in some Fox News reporting. But Singham is an American tech billionaire, and he can do whatever he wants, but he is resident in Shanghai, and he does coordinate his activities with the Communist Party's United Front Work Department, which is the part of the party that actually tries to subvert foreign governments. And because of that, two things. First of all, he's been illicitly transferring funds into the U.S. without reporting. That's a crime. And the other thing is that he has not been registering under the Foreign Agents Registration Act because he is representing the Communist Party of China. That's also a crime. So there's a lot of things that we need to investigate, and it's good the Justice Department is doing it because he's subverting the U.S. with his money.
Yeah, no, and it's a lot of money too, right? I mean, he's like mega wealthy, right? I mean, he seems, I keep hearing his name with so many of these groups, the Code Pink and the this and the that, like every time it seems like, and then even Hassan Piker gave him up. Remember when he was in Cuba and he was bashing America? He said, I think he even said like Neville Roy Singham helped get us here or something. Remember that? Remember that, Judge?
I do. And Gordon, does he travel outside of China?
I don't think that he does. I'm not sure about that. I mean, he did when he was 2-3 years ago, but I'm not sure that he's been traveling right now.
The reason
he's been ensconced in China.
Right. Well, the reason I asked that is because there's Supreme Court cases that specifically hold that if you're a fugitive from United States justice, you can be grabbed anywhere in the world and be brought back to the States for trial. It's called the Kerr-Frisbee doctrine, and they're not going to grab him in China. But if he went to Europe, they could.
If he went on vacation to Switzerland, skiing on the Alps.
Yes, and that's probably the reason why he's not going to travel outside of China, because he knows that there are extradition treaties. Now, we don't have an extradition treaty with China. There is some informal cooperation, but it's really unlikely that the Communist Party is going to give him up because he's worked very closely with the United Front Work Department.
Right, they love him there. They want him there forever,
no, but
right?
If he goes on a trip outside of China, he can be picked up just the way you pick up cartel guys.
I guess he's going to be looking at the Great Wall a lot, right? I mean, that's sort of the plan. Ed Cox.
So Gordon, what?
The gun like that one.
As we're on the brink of war, maybe not with Iran, and the oil is flowing, maybe not. What's the interest of China in that?
Well, first of all, they are addicted to cheap energy. They were getting it from Venezuela. That's been cut off. I mean, they can buy Venezuelan oil, but they've got to pay full price. And they've been buying a lot of Iranian oil, somewhere of 87 to 90% of Iran's exports of crude. And they've been getting big discounts on that because that oil has been sanctioned. And that is going to come to an end, especially now with the renewal of fighting. You got to remember that The U.S. just cut an important bridge in the northern part of Iran that was a railway that connected Iran with Pakistan and ultimately China. And with that bridge gone, they're not going to get oil by tank cars. And that was a really good thing that President Trump did because people weren't talking about it. And it is, it's not as much as they were getting through the Strait of Hormuz, but they were getting a lot of oil through that railway.
Yeah, what do you make of the fact, because that was a strategic hit? I remember hearing about that. The other thing I'm curious, Gordon, President Trump yesterday made it a point to say he was talking about Turkey, saying he was kind of happy that Turkey didn't step in with Iran in terms of, because they have a relationship with Iran. And then he also praised China for not sort of stepping in too. Is that a legitimate praise, or are they doing some things because he brought up the fact, just like you, they get so much oil from there?
Well, with regard to China, they were essentially an enemy combatant because they were providing Iran with everything, and especially targeting data from Chinese satellites. And that targeting data was like 99.99% used by the Iranians to kill those 6 Americans on March 1st. So China was very much involved in this war. President Trump will say these things about hardline states. I'm sure he has a strategy there. But in terms of the relationship between China and Iran, what he said was not really accurate.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially now as things are still going back and forth with the U.S. and Iran. Boy, oh boy, China, all this part of the world, you know it so well, Gordon. We really appreciate it and really great to have you. And I want to tell everybody again, it's Gordon G. Chang is the Twitter. And we always love having you on, Gordon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rita.
Thank you very much. And you guys, what do we all stand for?
Truth, justice, and American way. Good night, all.
God bless America and God bless New York. And now let's join Mark Levin in progress.
Thanks for listening to Katz and Cosby with John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby. You can hear Katz and Cosby weekdays at 5. It's the 5 o'clock show on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?